Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brian with the Roanoke Valley Libertarians. This past February, we had a guest speaker. Her name was Angela McArdle. She is the current chair of the Los Angeles County Libertarian Party affiliate. She is now seeking the position of chair at the LNC. So she has a lot of ideas that she would like to see incorporated there. She wants to see it help the states, you know. I think it's a good thing. She's got some bold ideas and she's got some bold messaging that she wants to see implemented. And hey, God knows we need to see some bold messaging done by the Libertarian Party. So please sit back, grab yourself a juice, a coffee, a water, I don't know, whatever you like to drink. And let's listen to Angela McArdle as she talks about her ideas and her bold messaging for the Libertarian Party.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. This is Angela McArdle. She serves as the Libertarian Party chair of Los Angeles County. She's a two-time candidate for California's 34th Congressional District, and she's now running for LNC chair. You go to her website, angelamccardle.com, and you can find out more about her and her plan. So here we go. If you would like, go ahead and you can take it away and tell us who you are.
Okay, great. So before I do that, about how long have I got to just freestyle here? Because I want to make sure there's time for Q&A.
We won't do about 45 minutes.
Sounds
here.
Good.
So if you want to do about 20 minutes, and then
Okay.
or 25 minutes, you go for it.
Okay, great. Yeah, I want to leave a little after 5 o'clock my time to get to another appointment. So I can do a little over 45 minutes total. Sounds good. Okay, so let's jump in. I want to let you all know that I emailed Brian a copy of a very lengthy strategic plan book that is available at all of the state conventions. So if you are really interested in, after our like in digging into the nitty gritty, or you want to get a summary of what we go over, that is the place to find those resources. If you can forward that to everyone who's interested, that would be great. I would appreciate it. So I want to tell you guys, I'm not here to sell you on a quick top 3 issues platform. I'm here to explain my vision for the National Libertarian Party and explain how we can turn the LNC into a high functional organization that we can use to effectively, we can work with to effectively accomplish the vision and bring about a freer world in our lifetimes. I have a beautiful vision for the Libertarian Party, and I want all of you to be a part of it. I believe that we can make this a party that people really value, and a party that resonates with people's values and reflects their innate desire for freedom. A party that inspires people to cast off their ideological shackles and that demonstrates the value of our beautiful organization. You know, a place that that inspires people to work for a freer world and to vote libertarian. Because our statement of principles, man, it's no joke. It says we challenge the cult of the omnipotent state. We are like David throwing a stone in the face of Goliath. And I really want to lead that battle for us. I want to lead us all to victory. For decades, people have argued over what the purpose of the party is. Is it to win elections, or is it to spread the message of liberty? Well, I'm like that meme. Why not both? We're not like other political parties. Let's sort of break it down, right? We're much larger and more organized than any other third party in the country, including the Greens, but we're nowhere near the size of the Democrats and Republicans yet. We're a very distant third place, and we're principles-based, not power-based. And the values that we cherish and hold dear to us are not shared by other political parties, even if they say that they're not. We value peace and personal freedom, and we reject authoritarian power grabs. We can't compromise our principles in order to get ahead politically. We've seen where that's led in the past. It creates disruption and chaos and disrespects the founders of our organization and our members. We get a little bit of media attention, which is good, but not a lot. So we want to see a freer world, but not everyone in the party agrees on how we should reach our goal. So how do we work within our given situation, all those facts I just laid out, to achieve the broader goals of most of the people in the party? We have to create a valuable organization first. And then we have to demonstrate our value to the rest of the people in the world who are going to be open to our ideas. So take, for example, Shane Hazel. I hope most of you are familiar with him. He's running for governor, and his campaign created a national controversy, even though he's just in Georgia. And that national controversy enabled him to get our message in front of a lot of people. That's the kind of campaign that the national level party should get behind. Shane has a very bold message that's tempered by an emotionally charged personal story of libertarianism that ties into a global issue, war. That's the issue. His campaign is highly controversial because Georgia is a swing state, and Georgia is struggling with some crappy ballot access laws. So Shane's campaign touches on all of the major points. It gets national attention. That's the sort of thing that the National Libertarian Party should be championing. Everything we do, right? Every statement we make should be calculated to move us forward in our mission in the direction of liberty. So here's what I intend to do, and for the entire LNC to do. It's not just me. We will amplify the voices of candidates like Shane, who use bold messaging, running either in winnable elections at the local level or high-profile elections like Shane's. And we throw all of our resources behind them, everything we've got, national party, social media, it's email campaigns, direct mail. We work within the confines of the laws governing what we can and can't do is regarding endorsements, but everything that we can do, we put it behind them. And why do this besides the fact that Shane is a really cool guy? It's because the party is split on what it wants right now. Half of the party wants bold, radical messaging. They want information campaigns. They want to spread the message of liberty. And the other half of the party wants to focus on elections, and they want to be, like they want to become a major contender in the political arena. With this plan, you can do both. I would like to see Shane Hazel's campaign platformed at the national level, right? Getting the attention it deserves. Same with other campaigns. This is also a great way to see the National Party assist with ballot access by spreading awareness of campaigns that are touching on ballot access issues at the national level. This is how we will accomplish a lot of things. So one of the first things we're going to do when I'm elected as national chair is to adopt a 2-year strategic plan that builds for our long-term future while meeting our short-term needs in the process. It'll be easily implemented again at the next 2-year cycle and easily modified for the next LNC or the next chair who comes after me if they need to pivot or make some adjustments. A strategic plan will treat our goals kind of like bowling pins. So you knock the first pin over and that knocks the next pin over and the next. So this is an important point. In order for any of this to work, we have to have a functional LNC, which we have not had during the last year. I'm sure most of you who follow are in the know on that. So let me break down how that will work and what it will look like. It's important for the chair to be able to work with the members of the committee, and the committee members have to be able to work with each other. There are several components to that. Part of my job as national chair really begins now to sort of suss out people that I think are collaborative, responsible LNC candidates that will work well together, to start lobbying them, to start sharing my plan and getting them involved. And a big part of that is also having committee members who are ideologically aligned and who can trust each other. When we don't have that second element, trust, that's where things fall apart. So it's partly my job as a leader to fill in those gaps and help our board members build trust and confidence in one another so that we can move forward professionally. It's my job basically to help us achieve our goals and to get everyone on the same page and get there as quickly as possible. So if you're familiar with my work, for example, we're working on an initiative in the city of Los Angeles to overturn vaccine mandates right now. You know that I work very, very hard, very long hours, and I expect the people around me to also work hard. And what this means is that when we start at the LNC, we're all going to have to work a little bit harder in the beginning, but ultimately we're going to start working smarter. And that is really important. When I took over LA County in 2018, it was in really bad shape. For those of you who don't know, LA County has on average around 250 active dues-paying members, and many more people around us who have let their membership lapse, but they're very active with us, registered voters, so on and so forth. But in 2018, the party had been ripped apart by a factional war, had no meaningful activism. Candidates got absolutely nothing, no help from the county affiliate at all. not a single thing, not a recommendation, not an email. It took 1 year to get rid of the fighting after I became chair. It took another year to change the culture. And it took another year to truly understand what our role was in LA politics and to get active in a politically meaningful way and make serious progress. We're the 9th largest affiliate in the country, larger than most state parties. Very interesting dynamic that we have here. So I know that the infighting at the national level is bad. But when I took over LA County, it was so sad, man. We were getting kicked out of meeting venues. The fighting was so awful. Now, though, it's like a well-oiled machine. There's not a single person on my XCOM that I don't absolutely adore and love working with. Everyone has a role and contributes something. If I can handle LA, I think I can handle the LNC. And I think that things are really going to go well. I'm very optimistic. Ideally, everyone on the LNC has been vetted to have a good work ethic, ability to work well with others, useful skill set, and good follow through. Ideally, the LNC should operate smoothly like an orchestra with me as a conductor. And different players will shine during different parts of our song, but there's no cult of personality. There are only good solos that pop up occasionally during a masterpiece. That's what I want to see. In order to make changes too, we're going to need all hands on deck. We need people who can work together collaboratively, who communicate with each other, and who are willing to put in the time. And here's why. Here's why this is important, like teamwork. Membership, development, and messaging, all of those things are interconnected. Think about the bowling pins. So is affiliate support and the budget. One of the things that we need to shift on the LNC is how committees operate. So what's a good way to explain this? Committees, task forces, and staff all need to work together. There's an org chart. I don't have any issue with the current org chart. I have an issue with the way things function, if that makes sense. We need the people who populate these different committees to work together, especially in the beginning and then periodically, so that we're all working to achieve the same goals because we're all operating on the same framework and the same strategic plan. That means every committee needs to buy into a strategic plan and coordinate with other committees so that their work is complementary and synergistic, so that they build off of one another and that they're helping each other and finding new opportunities to fill in any gaps that may appear as we work towards our goal. And also so that they're not doing duplicative work, because I hate wasteful work and so does everyone else, right? For example, the ballot access committee. They need to work with marketing and communications so that the needs of state affiliates who are having ballot access battles are being met. All 3 of those areas are related. Communications should be working with membership and development by taking feedback on messaging. What works and what doesn't, what helps us grow, what drives donations away, what gets us new donors. All of this information is really valuable for all of the other committees and for the state parties, and even for the county affiliates. Information from the LNC should flow downward to all of the rest of the membership. These committees and staff positions are like different parts of the same body, and they all have to work together so that we can jump over the hurdles that the state sets before us. And if any of this sounds overwhelming to you, I promise it's not. You start with a goal, you build a strategic plan around that goal, and you break down the steps you're going to take to reach that goal through things like process flow charts and project management software. It's doable, and most large successful organizations our size, they already do this. We're going to do all of this with as little organizational disruption as possible. That means, no, I'm not going to scrap all the staff and the org chart. We're going to shift a few things around so that we can be more strategic, and we're going to work together to accomplish our goals. And my alarm's going off to remind me to join you. I already have. So it starts, how would this work, right? It starts with the executive committee making a decision for a 2-year strategic plan together and outlining some important milestones. This requires people who can work together, people who trust each other, people who understand some basic project management skills, people who understand conflict resolution skills, people who are highly motivated, people who are available. Then committees are populated with people who have the skill sets needed to accomplish our plan. For example, We go through committee applications and we don't fill them based on who we're friends with on Facebook. We fill them based on who has actual marketing experience, who has development experience, and so on and so forth. All committee members are debriefed on our strategic plan and asked to come up with sort of a proposal for how they can help to accomplish that plan. Then committees coordinate with one another so that they don't step on each other's toes and so that they share resources. Each committee will pick 1 or 2 liaisons to communicate with the other committees, and people are allowed to work autonomously and feel empowered while they just check in with each other and the XCOM on a regular basis. And of course, we'll have regular meetings. And we'll continue to work towards our strategic goal while meeting short-term goals, different types of milestones along the way. And those will be things that obviously we can use to build political capital, things that will benefit our candidates and our state parties as well. During this whole process, people are taught project management skills, decision-making, problem-solving for complex projects. Teaching these skills at the national level will help us to be successful throughout the organization and the different affiliates, because knowledge will flow downward, which is really great. So I explained a lot of that strategic plan stuff to you, and I think that I should probably take a little bit of time to get into some of the issues for different committees and hot button topics like messaging, membership development, and the budget. So let's talk about ballot access briefly. I was disappointed at the last LNC meeting in December when ballot access was brought up for the budget and no one else had anything to offer. What I mean by that is there was no plan to help state parties that are struggling with ballot access outside of financial constraints. And I know money's tight, but it's not the only resource we have. I think that we need to start thinking differently. We can squeeze a lot more out of the organization than just dollars, and we can squeeze out a lot more dollars if we start working smarter by using some of the tactics I mentioned about having the ballot access committee collaborate with other committees and communicate more directly with affiliates. Messaging. So why messaging matters. It's the face of the party. It's the first thing you see. Our messaging at the national level has a very self-conscious tone. I think we need to move away from low self-esteem messaging. Many of the messages that come from LP National communicate that maybe we're a little bit embarrassed to be libertarians, we're apologizing for what we believe in, and we're not really trying to convince anyone to be libertarian. Sometimes the tone is like we're wincing in pain and bracing for a blow as we tell people we're libertarian. I think that we need to be confident in our principles and our messaging, and we need to market ourselves better. No one wants to buy something if the person selling it doesn't even sound confident in the product. So what does bold messaging look like? I talk about that a lot. Bold messaging is not shitposting. It's bold, unapologetic libertarianism. It's truth-telling. It's unwavering. It's not arrogant, but it does have self-esteem. Ron Paul said, truth is treason in an empire of lies. Let's be that truth. Let's be that powerful dissident voice that rallies the people who are lost in a political wilderness. I like to use Ron Paul as a really good example of bold messaging because he's never vulgar or obscene. And when people are upset, it's because he has placed them in a position of cognitive dissonance. Like when he went to Kentucky and he told people that he thought we should decriminalize heroin. And people felt shocked and gasped, and he pressed the issue, and he said, no, if we were to make heroin, decriminalized today, none of you would go out and start shooting up heroin. And everybody kind of laughed, and it took the tension out of the room. That's what I mean when I talk about bold messaging. Or like Ron Paul's Giuliani moment, where he said that our involvement in the Middle East has created blowback, and that was part of the reason that we had to experience 9/11. And he was, he just told the truth. He was not apologizing for what he said. He wasn't a jerk about it, but he was bold and unapologetic. Marketing. We don't spend nearly enough time and attention on our marketing. So who is our target demographic? How and why did we come to that decision? The fact is we've never done any major demographic studies. So we're not sure if we're working within the framework of reality or working with an idea of who we wish was our target demographic. And this is really important to understand. It helps us to understand why our messaging is or isn't working, what potential voters want, what we need to do to establish or regain trust from people who identify as libertarians, people like entrepreneurs, restaurant owners, nurses, crypto investors, people in the medical freedom community, people in startups, even space transportation technology, all kinds of new industries that are coming out and dealing with regulatory nonsense. We need to project a message and an image that resonates with liberty-minded people, the people who agree with us, right? And people who are going to amplify our message through donations, through platforming us, through voting for us and helping us grow. All of this information too, every little bit of information we collect, I really believe can be shared with our candidates and affiliates so that there's no being stingy at the national level and no bottleneck with information. I do have the connections and resources to do some serious marketing for the party, and I do intend to do that. I think it is essential that we do market research so we can do a better job of communicating libertarian values to the public at large. A little bit about membership. In the past, we've had leaders who don't value membership, but members are donors, candidates, party administrators, and activists. Membership is important because it means that people really buy in. When they make that $25 commitment, like they have made a commitment to our organization. It strengthens us when people feel invested in us. So I do value membership a lot, and I definitely also want to bring back the affiliate join program, which was something that was canceled in the last 2 years. We need to bring someone in who actually has experience with that and knows how to manage it. That could be a tremendous boon for us and a great way to automate some of our membership renewals in a targeted manner where we don't expend a lot of energy on membership renewals, but we have a high return. Development. I have a good relationship with some of our donors, and I have a good relationship with a lot of potential new donors. I will bring more large donors into the party, and I think that that's really good. And people ask sometimes, am I comfortable with making large donations or making calls for that? The answer is absolutely, and I am in the process of doing that right now for LA's anti-mandate initiative. I also believe that once we shift our messaging and present potential donors with a vision for the future and a strong plan to achieve it, we're going to see more donations come in. The last thing I'll touch on briefly is the budget. I think that this often gets overlooked in a lot of conversations about what the LNC does and what it should do. Our budget reports need to be clearer. Right now, it's unclear how our money is spent. I don't think that's intentional. I think it's just a structure formatting thing and that we can improve it. So for example, we need to find a way to explain how staff salaries are spread across the different functions of the LNC and how they help to generate revenue and growth. I think that we can do that while also allowing staff to maintain some financial privacy. We can do it with percentages, graphs, things like that. That is obviously good for transparency, and it's also good for our members to see that the money they donate and the salaries that we pay staff are actually helpful and useful. So that will help to bolster trust, and a good attitude within our organization. Our financial transaction service provider is too expensive. So every time you swipe your card and you purchase anything, there's a little percentage that someone takes in exchange for providing that service for us. We can get a more affordable service and save a lot of money. And what that's going to do is it'll also enable us to start doing micro donation campaigns that target college students and youth engagement. So what I mean by that is right now we spend so much money on credit card transactions that it doesn't make sense for us to go after $5 donations with young people. If we fix our process, then that obviously saves us money. And it also opens us up to new markets where we can get buy-in from college students, get small donations from them, and get them more engaged. So yeah, obviously I want you to vote for me as national chair, but most of all right now, what I really want to do is communicate my vision for the Libertarian Party to you, see us become a great organization in the near future, and help to get everybody on board with long-term planning. I would love to answer any questions if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. Does anyone have a question? All right.
I'll ask one real quick. The one discussion we had in terms of messaging is that lately there have been some really big victories. Gay marriage, marijuana laws are becoming more relaxed, especially here in Virginia. But the Libertarian Party is getting zero credit for all the decades of groundwork that's been done on these fronts. And we might not be in a strong political position to receive that credit, in the immediate future. We just won't be there. What can we do in terms of messaging to make sure that the work we have done will be trumpeted?
Great question. So one of the ways that we can do that is by having the Marketing and Communications Committee coordinate with the Historical Preservation Committee to get some really good clips and sound bites from the past. And whenever these issues come up, like another state decriminalizes cannabis, we make a comment on that, and we do it with a graphic that shows, like, here we were 20, 30, 40 years ago, commenting on this issue, advocating for it. Tie that in with a local affiliate or a state that's also working on a decrim or like a tax reform initiative for cannabis. And then we're hitting all of that, right? National issue deserves national attention. State or county affiliate that's working on it, they get a boost, and then showing our credibility and how committed we've always been to the issue. Next question.
Yeah, tell me, what did you do? Because LP members, we're notorious for eating ourselves, but we won't attack the other parties. What did you do in LA County to bring unity amongst the LP members? And then once again, if you get elected, there'll be a segment that don't like you. So how are you going to bring them into the fold?
Okay, so in LA County, we had a lot of nasty, aggressive fighting for the first. Let's see, I was elected in June. Things were ugly until November, because there was a chunk of the party that decided the party should only exist as a bare bones framework. It should not do anything because they have issues with people that preceded my involvement, right? And that stuff gets, like, I get to inherit it. And so I had to actually block one member from coming to our meetings. He had threatened physical violence at the state chair and me, and it was like a list of people as long as Santa's Christmas list. So it was really ugly and uncomfortable. But finally, it was like, okay, you can't be talking about lopping people's heads off, beating people up with a baseball bat. You're going to have to go. So that happened, and there was a lot of controversy around it. And I just was like, well, I'm just going to have to eat it. It's going to have to fall on my shoulders, and then I'll take all of the drama and bear the brunt of it and kind of shield everyone else. And eventually that guy just drifted away. He let go of it. And once that happened, like the culture in the party dramatically changed. It was like all the tension was out of the room. And we started working on things. And it took a good year to get people re-engaged because they were burned out, and for them to have sort of their faith restored. And we started doing more activities and things that were more meaningful instead of just social clubs, because up till then it had just been social clubs. So it was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a mailer. We're going to do a mailer recommending how people vote on ballot initiatives. And we've got some candidates. So we're going to put our candidates up there. We're going to endorse them. So we sent that out. And then people were really excited, like, oh, we did like a meaningful thing. And we just started building on our accomplishments one by one. And people felt really energized when they saw that we were achieving things. And then I got people volunteering for people who are already elected. We have a handful of elected officials in LA. So that's sort of how we changed the culture. A big part of it is that I keep in touch with all of my officers, and I don't make any unilateral decisions. I technically can as chair. There's a lot of things I can just decide, but I don't. Every time there's something happening, I reach out to Rachel, Dan, and Chris, and everyone else, and Dave, and I'm like, this is happening. I'd like to do this. What do you guys think? And so then we have cohesion, and a cultural buy-in. So I say all of that because I want you to have like the full story. I don't have like a list of people I'm going to kick out of the party once I become national chair, and that's not actually even doable with the way that our bylaws are set up. But it is important to recognize if someone's being so disruptive that they're going to try to destroy your organization, like, We don't always have to like hold hands and play with everyone. To a certain extent, you do need to kind of shield people from that drama so that we can have a healthy work environment.
Right.
But I think that with the mostly clean slate in Reno, you're going to see a lot of that go away, a lot of that fighting. And there are going to be people who are mad that I get elected and they don't like me. And that's okay, because that happens every time you have a new chair. Every single time you have people who rage quit, who walk away. And it's really up to me to set the tone for how we respond to that. And the way that I'm going to respond is that we don't need to go after those people. We don't need to be hating on them or ridiculing them on social media. Treat them as though they need a break and welcome them back graciously when they see the progress we've made, when they see membership and donation amounts are up, and when they see that we're being positively viewed by other libertarians and liberty inclined individuals. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Great.
Anyone else have anything else they would like to ask? I haven't, in this, you might have said this, but one of the things that I would be curious about, every 4 years we have a presidential election. It's always the exact same thing. We have trouble getting on the ballot. We get ignored by the media. They don't let us on the debate stage. Have you came up with, do you have any ideas like outside the box, the ideas that maybe we go around the media and other political parties? Because this whole thing about me trying to sell, like I thought Gary Johnson was okay. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with Joe Jorgensen compared to the other two. But how hard, it's so hard for me to sit here when they're telling me they don't like Trump, they don't like Biden, or they don't like Trump, they don't like Hillary, but your candidate's only going to get 4 million votes. Have you thought of any ways? Because I don't care about Joe Rogan telling his fans he voted for Jorgensen after the election. I needed him to say it then, 2 weeks before. You know, I'm just curious. Do you got some ideas in the works or?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I am very lucky to be working closely with a viral marketing specialist from Microsoft, who is very high up. She is very skilled at this stuff and has been giving a lot of support and really good ideas. And the other thing I'm very blessed with is several connections to Joe Rogan. And if we get a candidate, I can make that happen. If we get a candidate who is interesting and appealing, I love Jo Jorgensen. She is an actual libertarian, leaps and bounds better ideologically than Gary Johnson and Bill Weld. And I didn't hate Gary, by the way, you know, like I thought he was plenty good enough. But Jo Jorgensen was better in my mind. But she was not really compelling in her interviews. So we need, as an organization and as a group of delegates, we need to vote in someone who's a very skilled public speaker. And if we do that, I am pretty confident I can get that person on Joe Rogan.
And I'm not just talking about Joe Rogan. There's plenty of places to go, you know, obviously.
I can get him on Tim Pool. I can get him on all of those podcasts. I have plenty of connections to them. And I have friends who are on those shows on a regular basis. In fact, I have a friend who's on Joe Rogan today. But there's more to it than that, right? There's much more to it than that. We need better infrastructure at the ground level. The people at National to be communicating with our grassroots people so that we can kick off viral marketing campaigns, so that we can get trending on Twitter. And this is happening at a really interesting time because the GOP is attacking the Commission on Debates, and they have threatened to pull out and not do the debates. So we are going to be injecting ourselves into that conversation at a very interesting time. I've yet to see what the legal ramifications are going to be, or if they're going to file any lawsuits about that. But if they do, that'll be a really good time for us to capitalize on it and get involved. We can either file an amicus curiae brief in support of it. We can find some way to get involved in that conversation. And I think I have some other ideas about it too. You know, like there are things that we could do with CPAC. There are things that we can do. I don't think that the DNC is going to let us into their convention, but there are some very large left-leaning opportunities for us as well, so that we can do outreach, you know, not just to the right, but to really span it.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I'll make sure too, once it becomes go time, like before we get close to the presidential election, we're going to put in a plan to see, like we're going to do trajectory. We're going to actually guess, like, how much do you think that we're going to get percentage wise on the debate or in the vote? Is it 1%? Is it 1.2? Is it 5%? And we'll work with that so that we can try to increase it. We'll
Right.
apply a lot of leverage, actual planning.
That sounds good. We need that.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything?
So, one of the things that I noticed in 2020 is that we had the Libertarian Convention just really late in the year. So we only gave ourselves, like 6 months to campaign. So like for future conventions like 2024, would there be a way to like move that earlier in the year to give us more time?
Yes. I believe that we're going to need to fiddle around with the bylaws for that. But it's something that we need to discuss at the national convention this year. It makes much more sense for us to be early, like around the time of the Iowa caucuses. So obviously that's not going to happen this year, but we need to start the discussion now because I'm in favor of that. And if we get in the conversation earlier and we have a viral media moment, we're going to pull people away from voting in the primaries. And that's one of the biggest indicators that they're going to vote for with us long term.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. Let's see, where can they go to donate to you to help you with your campaign? Is it just your website?
Yeah. So yeah, it's there's angelamccardle.com. If you want to get access to a lot of the materials and resources that I put out, because I put out a lot of county affiliate stuff and all kinds of guides, you can go to patreon.com/Angela McArdle. That's also, how I get financial support to donate to travel to conventions and things like that.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you very much. Good luck. And I hope that bold messaging resonates in Reno.
Yeah. Thank you guys again. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them for you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for watching. And I want to thank Angela McArdle for speaking to the Roanoke Valley Libertarians and telling us about her ideas and her visions for the Libertarian Party. If you liked what she said and you want to see her become the chair of the Libertarian Party, you've got to help her out financially. Share stuff on Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media you might have. Okay, so once again, go to angelamccardle.com and you can go there, click the support button, and you can make a donation to her. You can go to her Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Angela McArdle. These links are down below. So go there. If you like what she says, she needs your help. Okay? Remember one thing. The party is the people that show up. So if you don't like what's going on in the Libertarian Party, show up. You've got to make the difference. If you like Angela, help her show up. All right? So once again, everybody, the Roanoke Valley Libertarians, we meet on the second Wednesday of each month. We'll be at Corned Beef and Company, and we've got a line of guest speakers coming up this year. So please come out, get active with us. We need your help. We want to run a full slate for city council. We want to run against the state senator and the House of Delegates. We want to see someone run, and we want to see them individuals win. We can't keep going on the same path we've been on, okay? And we need people like Angela, and we need people like you to come out, get active, spread the word. You know what I'm saying? So until next time, my friends, see ya.